Like that situation. And hello. I guess this is supposed to be a news desk. I guess I should tell you the news. Um, but yeah, this is GBC News with your host, the Giggler. Sorry, the Gilger. Damn it, these people don't know how to write my scripts. So, the it has been quite a while since I have sat at this desk to tell you the latest happenings of Gilgaria. Last time we did this, it was in November. It was still a sandbox server, and a lot of things were different, so I suppose it's time that I go over what's happened since then. So, first I'll go over staff, and I'll go from the highest positions to the lowliest. I, of course, have been owner of the server since it was first created in March of 2017. Binge has been dev since summer 2017. Autismus was made co-owner and vice president in August after Voyager, the previous co-owner, under the title of chief secretary, resigned because he didn't feel like he could really live up to that position. And before that, Autismus was the chief of staff. Saunders is a person with a quite interesting backstory on Gilgaria. He started out as a civilian and was the subject of a lot of abuse by a staff member named Salty, who we'll go over later. And this dispute came to a head when Salty was finally demoted for the harassment of both Saunders and other staff, and consequently resigned and left Gilgaria. And by early 2018, Saunders had become a staff member, and in July, he was elected to chief admin, the same position that Salty had before he got demoted. Derpy was not really doing much on the server as of November 2017, if I can remember correctly. However, by 2018, he'd become an admin and was second place to Saunders in the chief admin election. Cyodex is another interesting one. He was part of the community earlier on, however, resigned and left at some point during 2017, and then came back in March of 2018, became staff again, and gained admin in August. System Hacked has actually maintained his position as admin ever since November. I can remember him being admin back then. Greg, who was known to me more as Snipestar in 2017, was a friend of Binge, who came to Gilgaria following the transition to Dark RP, is now moderator. Silver Shadow and Ninja Guy were two new community members as of like summer 2018. Both became staff. One of them became moderator, the other rose to admin. However, both of them have since resigned because, for one, Silver Shadow has school stuff, and Ninja Guy was more at home in the sandbox. Akari and Eagle Eye are two retired staff members who both president in Gilgaria at the time of the last episode. Eagle was a super admin at the time, and Akari would become staff by January 2018. However, both were relatively inactive, and Akari is the only one who's still kind of active to this day. As I mentioned earlier, there used to be a staff named Salty. He goes by different names now, but he was an admin at the time of the last episode, and even then was subject of controversy. The last episode, of course, mentioned him. However, by February 2018, the controversy had caught up to him, and he was demoted from chief admin to just normal admin. He then resigned and wrote off Gmod entirely, and in the crisis, Binge himself nearly resigned before I gave in to making radical server changes. The less said about that, the better. because I just simply can't remember exactly what it was. Salty has since changed his username at least 3 times and plays Rainbow Six Siege exclusively and regrets all the time that he ever spent in Gmod. The rest of the retired staff are relatively inactive or have just left. For example, the person who started GBC News RetroPixel was who I pushed out of it because I wanted to do it myself, was eventually left in 2018. So, and all the rest of the current staff are new and weren't around prior to Dark RP Switch, and there's nothing much about them. So let's move on to the changes in the server. Now, I've mentioned multiple times that we switched from Sandbox to Dark RP. At the time of the last episode, we were a sandbox server and it was simply called Gilgaria. Before that, it was called the Gilgarian Federal Republic and it used a pseudo-democratic system reminiscent of the Canadian or British political systems. After January the 1st, 2018, it was called the Commonwealth of Gilgaria and remained a sandbox server. A civil council was created in April 2018 to legislate and advise the executives on sort of policy. And the Civil Council was renamed to the General Assembly and later to simply the Council. And around the time it was renamed to Council, the server transitioned to Dark RP and was simply known as the Gilgarian Republic since then. And many would claim that I've been nudging this community back into the government system. However, I'd like to point out that I acknowledge that a lot of the aspects of it were stupid or redundant, and that the parts that I've been trying to bring back are simply because I want people to feel like they're involved, like they have some stake in how the server is run. And because of that, on July 27, 2018, which the chief admin position was up for election, and so was a new position called Premier. Saunders won the vacant position of chief admin, while Ninja Guy won the premiership, succeeding the interim premier who was Silver Shadow, and before him the position didn't exist. Since then, Ninja was demoted from the premiership, and that position was abolished. However, chief admin remains and is still in control. Yeah, it remains in the hands of Saunders. The next election for chief admin is to take place on September 23rd, with all the candidates besides Silver Shadow expected to return to compete. Now let's move on to recent developments. In more recent news, we have gotten a website. Actually, we've had it for a while, but I don't know if people are aware. A new website, a custom server map. The server, if you didn't know, if you're new watching this video, is mostly focused on competing for resources and accumulating wealth. The fact that it's very easy to make money has led to massive readjustments to the economy to compensate for how easy it is, increases in car prices and gas prices, for example, and the need to readjust other jobs to be on par with oil or competitive. Going to the school year, it's going to be a little bit harder to maintain activity. However, we hope that through hosting different events, we will be able to attract new activity. One of these, the first of these events is to be a race, a street race, known as the Republic Prix, a 3-part race, and I said race like a billion times. There's more details and announcements, but basically there will be a road race with everyday cards, a police chase, cops and robbers style, and a demolition derby elimination race with supercars. And everyone who registers for next Wednesday will receive $1.5 million on Wednesday prior to the event. And the prize for winning at least one of these events will be that sort of registration bonus multiplied by the number of participants. So the more participants there are, the higher the prize. More info, like I said, more info that is in the announcement that I made back this last Wednesday. But I think that's basically everything for today. And I hope to see you on the server, and I'll try to do these new episodes, hopefully shorter and more entertaining, every Friday or Saturday. And that's been GBC News with your host, the Giggler, the Gilger, the Gilgantuous Gilgay. If y'all don't come on the server,